Welcome back to the Go to Go podcast, man. Episode 64, week 10 of the NFL season, right around the corner. This week, got another segment, hot or not. Gonna jump into our week 10 pick'ems. Quickly to recap last week, man. Dipped below 500, not a good week. 6-8. You're sitting at 10-4. I'm sitting at 75-61 on the year. You're sitting at 84-52. So I'm not out of it, but down. It's a little comeback second half team, bro. That's what I am. So I'm gonna jump into these hot or nots, man. So I got two this week for you. Starting you off, man. Hot or not. Texans will sneak into the playoffs this year.
I don't think that's a hot take, especially, CJ Stroud, his big performance, rookie passing record in that game against the Bucks. I mean, especially now with the expanded teams and stuff in the AFC, it's going to be the tougher conference, but when you look at teams like the Steelers, the Chargers might be fighting for that last spot. I mean, the Browns are going to probably be vying for that spot. All of these teams where they got some questions at quarterback or, coaching or whatever. Whereas the Texans, it seems like they found their franchise guy. Will Anderson has stepped up big time for the defense as well. So they got a lot of young playmakers in that division, not much competition at all. So I think there's definitely a path for the Houston Texans to make the playoffs this season if CJ Stroud continues to improve and play at that high, top 12, top 10 quarterback level right now. So that's not a crazy take. The Texans could definitely make the playoffs.
I guess I should have made this an in and out segment because the next one, hot or not, the Bills will not make the playoffs this year.
The Bills are like the opposite of the Texans. We're coming into the season. They had the high expectations. You got Josh Allen, superstar quarterback. But, just injuries to that defense and offensively outside of Stephon Diggs, where do you really go? Dawson Knox, he's injured. Gabe Davis, we talk about him every week. He has his big game 2 weeks ago. What happened last week? Goose egg, nowhere to be found. Dalton Kincaid, he stepped up nicely at the tight end spot, the rookie out of Utah. But, James Cook, he's kind of been a non-factor on the ground for them. Signing Leonard Fournette, not really sure what that's going to do for them at this point. He's talking about they let me and Diggs on the same team, like it's about to be crazy or something like that. Not really. The Bills are tough because they're in that division with the Dolphins. Now, they beat them earlier this year, but, when they play again, this time in Miami, it definitely could be a different outcome. I believe the Bills have the hardest remaining schedule. I think they got the Cowboys as well. They still play the Dolphins again. They play the Eagles. So a lot of tough games on that Bills schedule. And right now, I think they're like the 8 or 9 seed. So I could definitely see them missing out in the playoffs. Like the Texans, we just talked in that not super weak AFC South, but the Jags and the Texans, who Jags still haven't beat the Texans in I don't know how long. So that's still up for grabs. And then you got the AFC North where, every single team can possibly make the playoffs. Chiefs, Bengals, just two teams that have had the Bills' numbers. So right now, if the Bills don't, figure something out, turn it around, and get Josh Allen playing better football, well, not better football. You just want more consistent football because, he's that super high ceiling, but he's also giving you that low floor opportunity, bad turnovers. But, he's still playing decent football. It's just, does he have enough around him? And, we'll talk about the Chiefs later, but he's not Patrick Mahomes level where he can have just no one at receiver and still, carry his team. So, I'm going to say the Bills don't make the playoffs. So, I'm going to say that's not a hot take. I agree.
I'm rocking with it. But if anything, man, this is their week. They got that get-right game. They got the Broncos on primetime.
That is true, but,
their schedule after that, they got, besides the divisional opponents, Jets, Dolphins, Pats, again, they play.
The Jets, who they lost to already.
Cowboys, Eagles, Chiefs, Chargers. So, these are all, above average teams. The Chargers maybe, on the given week, they're super talented team, but
Yeah.
You never know. They're kind of like the Bills. They're of the West. I mean,
But also, I mean, we going into what? It's about to be week 10. Like,
yeah.
bro, there's no more get right games, fam. I feel like at this point of the season, like teams are what they are. Like the Bills aren't gonna beat the Broncos in prime time and then go on like a 4-game win streak and get the 2 seed. Like I just don't think that's gonna
maybe
happen.
not the 2 seed, but they like a playoff
Well,
spot.
yeah, they could make the playoffs, but I mean, when I think of get right, I'm thinking of like you
going on
the Bills are getting back
8
to
out of 10.
Yeah, like I think they can beat the Broncos. I think they're a better team than the Broncos, but it's going to be tough for them to, find 2-3 wins in those last couple of games you just rattled off. So I don't know. They're definitely in a tough spot. Now, they could easily make the playoffs. They turn stuff around. Those players step up. But right now, the way it's looking offensively, they just have nowhere to go outside of Stephon Diggs. And Josh Allen can only do so much himself. He's played decently, but it's just there's no one else, like we mentioned, like we talked about it already. Gabe Davis, James Cook, like
I mean, they're not
Titans.
even getting James Cook involved. Like
they can't run the ball. Like I mean, instead of handing off and running, they just throw like the quick little 2-yard passes as their run game. So they're very one dimensional, kind of like what they've always been. We always said like they got to get a run game. They got to help Josh Allen. They can't put it all on his shoulders, and I think that's kind of like showing again. And then defensively, it's just tough, man. Trey White's out. Matt Milano was a huge, huge loss. That middle linebacker, quarterback of their defense, Von Miller. I mean, and the guy to have in moments against the Bengals last week, one-on-one with Joe Mixon, just looks like he doesn't have it anymore coming off of, I think it was an ACL last year. So he's in and out. It's just the Bills are just in a very tough spot right now. Talent-wise, they lost a lot. Injuries kind of making them up, but they could definitely still make the playoffs, but right now it's not trending that way.
I was going to wrap up my hot or nots for this week.
All right. I got 3 for you. Well, 2 really, but, it's our weekly Browns check-in, so I'll start off with that one. Hot or not, the Browns are still the best team in the AFC North.
That's, not a hot take. The Ravens, I will say they are playing, some of the best ball in the NFL. The thing is, I think the Browns can do that. Defensively, we known it all year. Superb on the defensive end. The back end's looking great. Last year, the weakness was the interior part of that D-line and the linebacker crew. Linebacker crew finally healthy. A-Walk. JOK was playing the best ball before he got down with an injury a few weeks ago. Dalvin Tomlinson, great pickup. Mo Hurst, interior pass rush monster. He's gotten, a couple big sacks and key moments. They got MG. Defense is fine. Finally get Deshaun Watson back last week. In a get-right game, maybe the last get-right game of the season you could have because it was week 9. But they finally get him back. Played, started off slow first quarter. Ended up dropping a couple good, passes in. I know everyone wants to talk about that little tip ball that went for a touchdown. Oh, that shouldn't have been a touchdown. Later in the game, he drops one in to Amari Cooper. Perfect. He was slinging it, had some good velocity on the ball. Finally looked like he was a capable quarterback in the NFL. And if he continues to build off that, like we saw him last time when he played a full game against the Tennessee Titans, I mean, I think the Browns could compete with the Ravens for that number 1 spot in the AFC. And they got them this week. So you probably want them on the back end of your schedule right now, but it's kind of, do or die for that North moment right now. And we'll find out this week if they can really compete with it, but I think they do have a legit chance. I think the Ravens and the Browns are neck and neck. So to count them out just now, I don't think so, but I know, a little biased take or whatever.
I will worry about, to me personally, I think the Bengals, honestly, could be the best team in that division when it's all said and done because Joe Burrow's finally fully healthy, defense stepping up. They just seem to be only getting better and better and coming off of 2 back-to-back weeks, really, really big wins against the 49ers and the Bills. Like, I don't know. But the Browns just always seem to have the Bengals number. So that's just like one game where Joe Burrow just doesn't seem to be able to win.
You know what I was going to say.
Yeah, every other game, the Bengals look like they could be one of the best teams in the league. All right. Second one I got is hot or not. There's no clear cut number one team in the NFC so far this season.
That's not necessarily. I'm gonna say that's not a hot take right now. I got your Eagles at the one. Kind of living. I wouldn't say comfortably, but they're definitely up there. The Lions right now are competing for that, NFC top spot right now. They're sitting at the 2. You could throw the Niners in there that have been shaky the past few weeks or whatnot. But I did see a little ESPN power rankings, and they had the Chiefs 1. They had a bunch of NFC teams. I think they had the Eagles like 7. I thought that was a little crazy. I know they're 8-1, and always talk about strength of schedule, these games, this game, whatever. You still got to go out, win these football games, and perform. I mean, the Chiefs lost to the Broncos a couple weeks ago. I know it's a divisional opponent, but that's a game where you see that on paper at that point in the season, you chalk it up as a 20, 30-point win. You still got to go out there and win. I would say the Eagles are at the front, but right now the Lions are looking real good, man. I know they're a home team, quote unquote, and it's tough, but I mean the NFC is so shaky right now. I think a 4-win team, no, they're on the bubble, but a 4-5 team right now, and the Commanders are the number 8, the first team out of the NFC. So NFC shakes up a little bit differently than the AFC. I would say there's no clear-cut favorite, but I mean, I got the Eagles with 1 right now. Should be favorites to win that NFC championship as well.
All right, so moving over to the AFC, hot or not, Chiefs are back as the best team in that conference.
I mean, that's not a hot take. Pat Mahomes, we say it, last year, this year. First, the question's Kelsey's aging, the connection's not as good, this and that. All right, this year, they got to beat the little Taylor Swift allegations. They go over in Germany and beat, what now is a question mark to the NFL and the quote-unquote fraudulent Dolphins. But, I mean, to say the Chiefs aren't there, Andy Reid, one of the greatest head coaches of all time, Patrick Mahomes, this generation's greatest quarterback we've ever seen. I mean, it's tough to kind of count them out no matter who's on that field. Chris Jones, they just got a new addition as well. I think Frank Clark's back in KC as well.
Did they sign him back? Yeah, I saw rumors and reports of that or something.
Yeah, I think they brought back Frank Clark. So, that defense has never been the best. But, when you got Chris Jones back there, he's an anchor of that defense. He really makes it go, applies pressure from the interior. And then the only question mark with the Chiefs, obviously, is their weapons at this point. I mean, outside of Travis Kelce and, maybe a few Isaiah Pacheco runs, who do you lean on? We talked about Rashee Rice, the rookie. We've talked about drops Kadarius Toney, MVS, if it's not a 60-yard, in the breadbasket, is it really, that's his bread and butter. That's where he's made the money in his career leading up to KC. So that's really the only question mark. But when you got Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid, it's just a hard thing to beat. And I mean, even when one of those guys don't have their best days, the other could pick them up with a play call, or Patrick Mahomes' crazy playmaking ability outside of outside the pocket on a broken play. So, I mean, when you got the great quarterback in Pat Mahomes like that, you have to be the front runner. So yeah, I'm gonna say they reclaim their seat, but I never thought they were gone, to be honest. I never thought there was a moment to where the Chiefs shouldn't be that top team, even though they weren't playing like it, performing like it. They got the, wheels on the bearing now. They're right back to the old KC.
All right, those are my 3, hot or not.
It's perfect, man. It's going to take us right to our Week 10 pick'ems, man, and another Thursday night gem. Panthers travel to Chicago, and they play the Bears. Justin Fields, comeback week, possibly coming back from that injury in that thumb. Bryce Young did not look good last week. The Panthers did not look good. I think other than Adam Thielen, he's thrown more touchdowns than Kenny Moore this season than anybody else on the team. Bears at home. I think they're also getting Khalil Herbert back, so added piece to the run game as well. Just give me the Bears at home. I know Justin Fields might have a little bit of rust. I just don't think it's enough for this Panthers team. to get over the hump. And we talk about it every week. They're not trying to lose. They don't have their first round pick, so they're gonna go out there and fight. But I got the Bears at home prime time.
Yeah, and it's funny because the Panthers' first round pick, or who has it? It's the Bears, the team they're playing. So Bears kind of like it's a win-win for them either way. Like regardless, their pick is gonna get higher, even if they win or lose. So I do think the Bears are slightly more talented. Brian Burns for the Panthers went out last week, I think, with a concussion. So definitely won't make concussion protocol this week. You mentioned Justin Fields coming back. I think that's really all this Bears team needs to beat the Panthers. I think this could, be somewhat of exciting seeing Bryce Young against the Bears defense that could possibly give up a couple of big plays here and there. But, yeah, I'm with you. Ultimately, I think the Bears get it done at home. And, last time we saw Justin Fields on primetime, he went crazy against the Commanders. So maybe we see a part 2. I don't know. But, yeah, I'll take the Bears at home.
Yeah, I forgot. Burns, he's already been ruled out. Same with Panthers corner C.J. Henderson, man. So they're down 2 starters on the defensive side of the ball. Not a recipe for Thursday night primetime success. First game up, I believe this game's in the United States.
I think it's in Germany.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, they went from over there in Germany, a really great game. Really top-tier teams. I wouldn't say a great game. Close game, but now they got the Colts travel. Well, they're both traveling to Germany, but the Colts playing the home team, New England Patriots. The Patriots week in and week out. I think they had a chance last week. Mac Jones threw a pick on a, driving towards, the end zone, threw the game away.
Pick wasn't even his fault.
No, I didn't see it.
Juju just dropped it and threw his hands, and the defender was right behind him and caught it.
Well, if it's not Mac Jones, it's just the roster around.
But
him.
It's fitting. It's Mac Jones on the interception. Regardless, it's gonna happen.
Juju in 2023, man. I know they brought OG Fort back, but I don't think they bring back OG Juju, bro.
Yeah, he's not playing with AB.
Yeah, but the Colts they played well last week. Who did they play? They played the Panthers.
Yeah.
But, they got a little two-headed monster in the backfield past few weeks. JT, Zach Moss have been doing their thing back there. I know the receiver is a little bit frustrated on the outside. I think it was Michael Pittman that was upset with his targets a few weeks ago. But, this Colts team, they're decent. They're not bad in that AFC South. They still could have a slim chance. And, this is the NFL. They're going to be fighting for it. The Patriots, you got Robert Kraft's son, I think, was talking about, we suck or, we're finished. The morale's down in New England, if anything. So, give me the Colts. Man.
Yeah, and then I saw earlier today reports saying, Belichick might not finish the season as the head coach. It's weird times right now for the Patriots, and I don't think they get any better, unfortunately. I'm going to pick the Colts as well. I just think even with Gardner Minshew, they're just a better team. The Patriots they're so lackluster offensively. They just cannot seem to get anything going, and it's unfortunate. Defense, they're solid, but two of their best players their 2 best players on defense still out for, I think, an extended period of time. If not, at this point, just shut them down for the year. And Matthew Judon and Christian Gonzalez, a rookie on the corner. So, yeah, very, very tough times in New England. But, hey, man, you guys deserve it after a 20-year dynasty. So, nice to see them kind of, be able to relate to the other fan bases for a little while, which at this point may only be one season, because if they get a high draft pick and get one of those QBs coming out of college next year, they might, start winning games. But as of now, the Patriots are not a good football team, which is nice to see. And I think they lose to the Colts in Germany.
I'm finally happy with it. Yeah, and it is a Germany 9:30 game after last week. I don't think I'll ever wake
no
up
one's waking up for this one.
for a 9:30 game, even if my team plays, man.
I don't think the Colts or Patriots fans are waking up for this.
I think the little Indy faithful might, but the Patriots, there's nothing to wake up to, man. You might as well just sleep in, bandwagon another team. They probably follow Brady to Tampa anyway.
At this point, just hope for the higher draft pick, bro.
Yeah.
They're right up there. They only got 2 wins on the season, so.
That's going to take me to my game of the week. I mean, there's some good games around the league, but this one, AFC North matchup. And I said, the AFC North title's on the line this week. I truly believe it, man. Browns travel to Baltimore to play the Ravens. And the last time the Browns played the Ravens was at home just before the bye week. And DTR was the starting quarterback. He hasn't started another game since. I don't think he's taken a snap since, actually. So, the rookie quarterback wasn't ready to go. It was a tight game in the first half. Second half, Ravens just kind of pulled away. Browns just couldn't get anything done offensively. Turnovers, good field position for the Ravens. They really didn't play a good game, but came out with the win. This time around, look for the Browns to take care of the football. Establish what little they have with that run game right now. I mean, Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt are doing the best they can, but it's been Amari Cooper's show on the outside, and I believe Marlon Humphrey will play. I know he was banged up a few weeks ago, but look for Amari Cooper, big game. Elijah Moore, look for him to get involved in the offense as well this week, much more than usual, and they've been getting your boy David Njoku involved a lot more these past few weeks. He's exploded onto the scene as a viable, top-tier tight end weapon for the Browns. So, and we know this defense is going to feast. It's always going to have to be contain Lamar in the pocket, keep him from extending those plays, rolling out, making the plays either with his legs or with his arms, and just that baiting the defense on the run, because that's what happens a lot when they play the Ravens. He gets outside the pocket. Defenders start looking in the backfield behind the line of scrimmage. That threat of Lamar running, they lose sight of the receivers downfield. Seen it happen plenty of times against the Browns, so they're going to have to limit that. But tough game on the road, man. If the Browns truly think they can win this AFC North, they have to make a statement win on the road. And they can't let the Ravens sweep them out this year as well. I mean, you can never go 0-2 against division opponents, so give me the Browns on the road.
Yeah, I think this can be a really good game. I think these two teams are very similar. Well, not very similar, but I think they're pretty similar. Defenses are both really, really good. The Ravens, I believe, held the Lions and Seahawks to only 9 or 10 points, I believe. I mean, and those are two solidified playoff teams right now in the NFC. So, they put up 30+ on both of them. So, I mean, that just shows how dominant this team can be, especially at home, where both of those games were. But, I mean, we go back to the Browns defense, pitching a shutout. Is that their second shutout this year or their first?
I think it was the first. But
but regardless, I mean, Myles Garrett, we all know what he is, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Denzel Ward, I think he finally got on the board with the pick last week, which was nice. So, your boy Martin Emerson, like you mentioned, this Browns team is just defensively, they are up there with the best of them. Offensively, you mentioned Deshaun Watson came back, had a solid game, finding Amari Cooper and Njoku. Run game is going to be solid, but I just think this Baltimore Ravens offense is kind of just a step ahead of this Browns offense in terms of, playmaking and explosive plays. The Ravens have always been able to run the ball. They did it last week. I think they had 3 rushers have a really good game. Undrafted rookie, I forgot his name. He broke off a long run, had a touchdown.
I forget his first. It's K Mitchell.
Yeah.
He had a 60-yard run.
Gus Edwards, he got back into the end zone again, and then I believe Justice Hill was also involved. So that running attack is always going to be there. And then this year, Lamar is even looking better in the pocket, passing the ball, finding Mark Andrews. Odell's getting involved. Zay Flowers. So there's Nelson Aguilar is even catching balls. So they got some weapons on the perimeter, and I just think Lamar has been playing really, really good football. And you mentioned trying to keep him in the pocket. Well, I think he's improved immensely, and he's, doing most of his damage from the pocket so far this season. So I think these are two similar teams. It'll be a good game. Both defenses show up, but when it comes to the offenses, I just trust Lamar and that offense a tick better right now than Deshaun Watson coming off of that injury. Maybe a little rusty. Questions about that shoulder. If he gets hit one time, maybe bangs it up, how will that affect him? So I just think the Baltimore offense at home is a lot more safe, and I'm gonna pick the Ravens. But I could really see the Browns coming out and stealing this game on the road as well. I just trust Lamar and that Ravens offense a little bit more than I do the Cleveland's offense. Like if it comes down to it, someone's got to make a play on one of these offenses because both of these defenses are really good, like we both mentioned. So give me Lamar over Deshaun right now. I'm gonna pick the Ravens.
Yeah, one shutout on the year for the Browns. They held the Titans to 3, the Bengals to 3. The Ravens also held the Browns to 3 in that DTR week. But looking at the numbers, these are the top two defenses when it comes to yards per game. Browns sitting at 230, Ravens sitting at 260. 17 touchdowns allowed for the Browns, 10 for the Ravens defensively. So, total defense numbers, these are the top two defenses in the league. And, man, I don't want you to say right now, man, because QB1's back. I'm saying it right now, man. Might be an overreaction Tuesday on my part. But I'm rocking with DW4, man. It's going to lead us to the next game, man. Green Bay Packers travel to the Steel City and play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, man, you said it, 50-50 games. I was leaning towards the Steelers. But it's just, there's nothing exciting about this team. They're just, it's just, I'm more excited to watch Aaron Jones and Jordan Love at this point throw to Romeo Doubs and Luke Musgrave. And it's just a little bit more fun. I mean, this literally has no AFC North bias. It's just, the Steelers got to be one of the most boring teams in the NFL to watch. And they win football games. They're not a bad team. We know what their defense could do. Jalen Warren, I like him in the backfield. George Pickens, Deontay Johnson finally caught a touchdown. I think it was last week, and before that, last quarterback to throw him one was Big Ben.
Yeah.
So, good for Deontay. Great receiver on the outside. They got great weapons, but it's the Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett who's holding who back and which one's holding more back. But just give me the Pack on the road. They just go for one of those upset wins to kind of ruin, binge wild card team right now.
Yeah, as much as I was riding with the Packers early on, man, and believing in Jordan Love, I got to see it first now to get back on the train. And I'm sorry, bro. I'm picking the Steelers at home. This defense has been solid. TJ Watt, he's good for 1 to 2 splash plays a game, especially at home. That Steelers crowd really gets into it once he gets going. Alex Highsmith, he's been very solid as well this season. Joey Porter, the rookie on the outside, finally giving the Steelers some life on the perimeter defensively. And for the Packers offensively, it's been ugly, man. Jordan Love has just been struggling to, get drives going, connect with receivers. I was talking to Big Max, like every time I watch a Packers game or just turn it on or just watch some highlights or something, it's like Christian Watson down the field, 40 yards, just going up for a pass, not either being overthrown or just not being able to get it, being contested, just not coming down with that big play that we saw him, make once or twice every single game last season with the 9 touchdowns. So offensively, it's just tough for the Packers, man. I just don't see it right now. Super conservative play calling in the beginning of the game. They horrible first half offense, and then in the second half they kind of got to open it up to get back in the game, and they show a little bit of life. Whereas the Steelers are kind of the same. In the beginning of games, there's nothing offensively, and it's okay, at the end of the games they gotta score. They gotta do something to try to win the game, and it's usually just Kenny Pickett throwing up a go ball to George Pickens or Deontay Johnson creating some separation on the outside. So I just trust the Steelers defense more right now than I do anything on the Packers. So maybe the Steelers get a defensive touchdown, a big special teams play, but I think it's going to be something outside of offense for both of these teams, and I'm going to pick the Steelers at home.
I mean, you said it perfect. We always see, Kenny Pickett end the game, go ahead and kill the backup play and, Matt Canada's reactions. So defensive game. We'll see which offense decides to make a play. Next game up, man. I think this is going to be an interesting one. 49ers travel to Jacksonville and play the Jags. And we talk about the Jags week in, week out. They really need a signature win. They're kind of like the Dolphins in a sense of, they know they can handle those, lesser teams.
I wouldn't say that. They beat the Bills.
They did beat the Bills, but you just sat here
Dolphins
and
couldn't.
yeah, they played
They're above 500
in Buffalo, divisional opponent. Like
I'm just saying they're above 500.
All right, well, okay. I said in a sense, man. It's a good thing the Dolphins don't play because I got a lot to get off my chest if they did. 49ers, Jags. I think it's going to be a really good game. 49ers, man, crazy what that defensive line's looking like at this point. We mentioned Javon Hargrave, your boy that came over from Philly in the offseason. They got Chase Young and they got Nick Bosa. They got three. Was Hargrave a first-round pick? I mean, these guys are...
I'm not sure, but, he's been one of the best interior rushers in the league. So
I mean, these are three top, defensive linemen in the NFL. I mean, maybe
I don't
not
think
Chase
Hargrave
Young,
was in a first-round pick.
Yeah. But either way, he's come on the scene as one of the best D tackles. Probably got one of the biggest bags this offseason, especially at his position. 49ers, it just comes down to the offense, man. Are they healthy? Brock Purdy, can he make those plays? Weeks 1 through 5, he was in that MVP convo up until he saw that little Browns defense, and he's been shaky ever since. That's all I'm going to say. But on the road, man, I think the Niners, finally getting back healthy again. I think they coming off a bye last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so week to get healthy. Trent Williams, Debo, McCaffrey, all them boys. Another week to rest up, heal up. Against this Jags team, I think it's going to be a really good game. ETNs came onto the scene for the Jags. I just don't think it's going to be enough to defeat this 49ers team. I think they come back, gunning for one of those top spots in the NFC.
I believe the 49ers on a 3-game losing streak. Mm-hmm. So coming off of that's a great time to have a bye, kind of, get things back right, kind of regroup, get a couple guys back healthy. But the last couple weeks, the last 2 weeks especially, the 49ers have been looking a little Philadelphia Eagle-esque in a sense defensively, meaning if that pressure's not getting home, teams can throw against them. We saw Kirk Cousins have that big game on, I believe it was a Monday night against the 49ers, and then Joe Burrow, his, first game back, finally healthy, looking like Joe Shiesty again. I mean, he just tore the 49ers up through the air on the road. So it was at the 49ers home game. So, I mean, if this pass rush isn't getting there, Nick Bosa's had a slow start to the season. So maybe the addition of Chase Young helps add some juice because they got talent. They got guys. They just haven't been getting home recently. So if you got time, you can throw on them. And I think Trevor Lawrence at home, one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I think they hold up. And that pressure doesn't really get to Trevor Lawrence. And he kind of, has a big game through the air because that's been the way to beat this 49ers team. And on the opposite side, Brock Purdy, when he's not leading, when everything isn't going perfect, maybe they get Debo back, Trent Williams, hopefully he play because we know how important those two guys are now to this entire 49ers scheme. When they were out, they just didn't look the same. Brock Purdy, I mean, he's a serviceable quarterback. He's a solid quarterback. He's starting. But he just doesn't look like to be one of those guys that can take you to the next level himself. So if the Jags go up, can Brock Purdy outduel Trevor Lawrence? If that pass rush doesn't get to T-Law, ETN's been running the ball very well also. So, maybe we see Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones if he's back healthy. Those guys that have been able to, make plays on the outside. We know they can get it going. ETN is probably going to score another touchdown. He's like the mini version of Christian McCaffrey at this point. He always just seems to score. So I think it'll be a good game. It'll be a test for both teams. Both teams kind of got something to prove here, but I think the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence can, finally elevate themselves into that next tier and continue the 49ers skid. So I'm going to pick the Jags and Trevor Lawrence at home.
So it's funny you mentioned the 49ers pass rush. Kind of reminded me, I was watching... Yeah, your least favorite analyst, Emmanuel Acho. Back to my Emmanuel Acho, what I saw this week. It was talking about, D'Amico Ryan's the defensive coordinator last year for the San Francisco 49ers, hitting on all cylinders. D'Amico Ryan's was a linebacker guy coming into the scene, linebacker coach. The front seven versus the back seven. Steve Wilkes is the back seven guy. So the pressure hasn't been hitting home. they've been getting those deep balls is because he's a DB coach. So his focus is on that back end, not so much that front end and getting pressure. And that's why you really haven't seen the Niners kind of hitting home on that. That's where you see the big plays come in compared to DeMeco Ryan, where the focus is on getting to the quarterback, getting that pressure, and not really those cover guys compared. It was sort of just a small little point, but you kind of see it now in a sense to where that pressure's not hitting. The DBs really aren't, there to make a play at this point, which you kind of would assume that they would make plays, but without this pressure, I mean, they're sort of lost. I mean, it's not the same Niners defense you saw last year, even the first few weeks when they were getting home, applying that pressure, getting sacks, forcing bad reads from quarterbacks. So, I mean, you see it now, and let's see if the Niners get back on track this week against the Jags. So, it's going to lead us to the New Orleans Saints. They travel to Minnesota and play Josh Dobbs-led Vikings, man, who didn't know anybody's name, didn't know cadence last week, and he goes down and wins the game for Minnesota in a big fashion. So, Saints traveling, man. I mean, some weeks I like the Saints. At this point, I think I just got to stop picking them because every time I pick them, they lose. So, I'm going to go with the home team Vikings, man. Got a little momentum. Alex Madison, I don't think it was a rushing touchdown, but I think he caught a passing touchdown. Yeah. He touched paint, so good for a running back to have production in Minnesota, even though it's a pass. Give me the Vikings at home. I mean, the Saints, Chris Olave finally touched paint too, so it's good to see that for the Saints, finally getting some targets over there. But it was really, nothing to celebrate for the Saints. Both these teams have a shot to make the playoffs too in the NFC. But
yeah. I like the Saints here. Offensively, I mean, we remember that Thursday night game against the Jags. It wasn't clicking at all. You got Derek Carr yelling at receivers. It's not on the same page. But since that game, past couple weeks, their offense is slowly coming along. It's looking a little better. So I think their offense will continue to prove here against the Vikings defense, who we know Flores is just going to blitz. So if Derek Carr is able to, stand in the pocket, he'll have those one-on-one opportunities. He'll have those, chances to find Alvin Kamara out of the backfield on the check down. Chris Olave, Shaheed, maybe if he gets some time, he's always good for one super, super deep bomb, and that's it. So the Saints got some weapons, Michael Thomas as well. So if they're able to hold up against that blitz, I think they can get it done. And defensively, the Saints have been a pretty good team so far. And the Vikings, like you mentioned, Josh Dobbs, what he did against the Falcons was crazy, but was against the Falcons, and we'll talk about the Falcons when we get there. I really like Dobbs. He's a serviceable quarterback. He comes in. He's just, kind of pro's pro, able to run the offense. And, I mean, he was on the Browns. So, I think, what they say, this is like his 6th or 5th team since, like, last November or something like that. So, just kind of crazy how he's able to, pick up these playbooks and just not even really know what's going on, but going to make it happen. Justin Jefferson, eligible to come off of IR. Still not sure, if they haven't taken him off yet. Not sure if they'll elevate him. We'll probably see Wednesday, Thursday practice if he's good to go. If so, that'll be a huge, huge boost to Josh Dobbs, the best receiver he's thrown to in his life, probably. Not even probably. I'm pretty sure it is. So that'll be a super, super big upgrade for the Vikings offensively, who lost KJ Osborne to that nasty hit. So some much needed, reinforcements to that Vikings offense. I think this could be a competitive game, but I just think the Saints defense and the Saints offense slowly getting back on track just be a little too much for Josh Dobbs in his first official start as a quarterback.
It's going to lead us to the NFC North and the Detroit Lions going to SoFi to play the Chargers, man. And mentioned the Lions being one of the top teams in the NFC. The Chargers, they didn't do what we said last week, find a way to lose the game. It was just not really much of a game for them to lose because they got out in front.
Showed a little life.
Yeah, they did show a little bit of life. So give me the Lions on the road, man. I just like the way coming off a bye, too. You're coming off fresh, playing at SoFi. Indoors, once again, for Jared Goff. You know how he balls out in an indoor environment. Jahmyr Gibbs finally getting some usage over in Detroit before the bye.
But Montgomery might be back.
Montgomery might be back, yep. But regardless of the fact, the Lions are looking good. Amon-Ra finally to get back healthy. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries this year.
Yep.
Get him a week rest. So, and then DPJ now into the offense. I know they lost Marvin Jones, but I think the Lions get it done on the road. And I also think Josh Palmer is on IR as well for the Chargers. So another receiver loss for the Chargers this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's classic Chargers, going out, beating up on the Jets. And, as a Justin Herbert believer, it's like, I really want to believe in him. Like, that's the perfect game. It's like, all right, I'm back in. But I got to see it against a competent team first. The Jets, we know how good they are defensively. But, I mean, it was a Zach Wilson masterclass. And just overall offensively, drop passes, fumbles, missed opportunities. It was just a very sloppy game offensively for the Jets all around. So, Justin Herbert really didn't have to do anything. Austin Eckler kind of got going on the ground there. Keenan Allen with the big catch to reach 10K yards, I believe. So a lot of positive things going on for the Chargers. Now they can get it done against the Lions, who are a legit playoff team contending for the NFC, possibly be in that NFC Championship game and maybe even win it the way they've been playing so far. A legit playoff contender in the Lions. If the Chargers are able to go toe-to-toe and Herbert can outduel Goff and, they're able to get a win, then I'll be back. I'll be back believing. I'll be back on the Lions, on the Chargers, excuse me. But I just think right now the Lions are a better team. You mentioned getting back healthy. Aiden Hutchinson continues to, get that defense going. And offensively, they're a powerhouse. So I want to believe in the Chargers, but I just don't think I can right now. The Lions are too good, man. I'm going to pick Detroit.
You had me for a second there. I thought I was getting a last-second switch up from you.
Nah. I think the Lions are going to win, man. They just – offensively, they're too good.
Hey, man, it's going to lead us to teams that offensively are challenged in the Atlanta Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals.
I don't know. Maybe not this week.
Yeah, Kyler Murray, K1, making a return, but it's my case, we always talk about that rust. So I think this is a game where, playing the Falcons – defensively, they're not too bad, but I mean, Falcons, Cardinals. I mean, really at this point in the season, after what we saw last week from the Falcons, just falling apart, not being able to score when they need to, it's tough. I mean, Taylor Heineke's out there, better option than Desmond Ridder, yes, but how much does that really elevate this team? Not much, but I'm going to take the Falcons on the road. I think Kyler Murray is just knocking off for us this game. We're going to see a couple miscues, maybe a turnover or two that's going to cost them the game. But give me the Falcons on the road.
I 100% agree with your analysis and your thought that went into this game. And I was looking to pick the other team, whoever the Cardinals were playing, when I saw Kyler Murray was back. But then I saw they were playing the Falcons. And, I mean, outside of maybe the Jets, definitely the Giants. Like, I probably would have picked any other team in the league against the Cardinals. The Falcons are just, I can't, bro. Now, maybe it's because I'm a Bijan fantasy owner, but regardless, offensively, I just don't know what they're doing, bro. Like, I mean, Arthur Smith, this coaching staff, you legit have 3 top 10 overall picks on your offense in the most important positions outside of quarterback, receiver, tight end, running back, all 3 really, really good players. And then you got like Jono Smith having the most receptions and Tyler Algier taking all the carries. I just really don't understand what is happening on this Falcons offense. Now, maybe they get it together and give their guys the ball and they go and beat the Cardinals, but I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Kyler Murray is good enough. He's better than Desmond Ridder, who's not playing, and Taylor Heinicke is just like 1 turnover better than Desmond Ridder. He's still going to turn the ball over, just not 3 times, only 2. So this Cardinals defense, this Cardinals team has been chippy. They've been in a bunch of games. They had the big win over Dallas. They were able to, make that Giants game competitive until they gave up at the end. They scored a late touchdown against the Ravens to cover. So this Cardinals team has been able to hang with some of these other teams. It's just, it came down to Josh Dobbs being their quarterback and them not being able to get over the hump. Now you got Kyler Murray. You mentioned he's been out, maybe knocks off a little bit of rust, but I mean, the Falcons are almost entering that Chargers territory for me where they just find ways to lose games, man. I just don't get what they got going on over there. And I think the Cardinals can win this game, especially at home. So I'm going to pick Arizona.
You mentioned Tyler Algier out-carrying Bijan. He out-carried him by one. My only problem is you got those, Tyler Algier, 1,000-yard rusher last year. Bijan, top pick in this year's NFL draft. And Algier gets 12 carries. Bijan gets 11. And you let Taylor Heineke drop back for 38 attempts. 38.
Throwing a Mac Hollins.
Yeah, throwing a Mac Hollins, Johnny Smith, whoever you really
Van Jefferson.
want to name. Yeah, Van Jefferson. I mean, he's a little.
Although I think Drake London was out last game, so I will give him that. But even when he was healthy, he wasn't getting the ball, so it didn't matter.
I saw crazy stats like Sam De La Porta, 10-plus target games this year is like 3 or 2. And then same thing with Dalton Kincaid. And Kincaid really didn't come on the scene until about 4 weeks ago. That's as many as Kyle Pitts has had his whole career. So
yeah.
Kyle Pitts, man, I just got to know what's going on in his head. They should really do a psych exam, a neuropsych exam, whatever type of
on their freaking owner and
exam.
Arthur Smith, not even Kyle Pitts, bro.
I mean,
what
I
is
just want
happening?
to see how his brain working right now, how you feeling. But yeah, maybe Arthur Smith as well. So
They need a quarterback too.
they need,
They need a lot. Sorry, Falcons fans.
they're a long way from that 28-3 moment, man. I'll tell you
You
what.
just can't escape it.
Nah, they really can't. It's gonna lead us to who right now probably is the worst team in the NFL because they found a way to lose the Jets 2 weeks ago. Danny Dimes goes down with a torn ACL. So now it's Tommy DeVito. I almost said Danny DeVito. Pulled a U. Tommy DeVito time in New York playing the Cowboys in Jerry's world. Just not much analysis needed for this one. Give me the Cowboys. You got to take care of business.
Yeah, as an Eagles fan, watching that game last week, I will give the Cowboys credit. Usually, at the end of that game, Dak and that offense just finds a way to just give the game away. He throws a really, really bad interception. They fumble, but, give them their credit. They were able to stay in this game, almost made a comeback, but, fell just short, literally game of inches twice. So, unfortunate, but I think the Cowboys will be okay. They're a super competitive team. And you mentioned they beat the Giants, what was it, week 1 by 40 points. So let's see if they can top it this week. A lot to a little. Give me Dallas at home. Or should I say a lot to 0? Give me Dallas at home.
0. That's crazy.
And they did it already, bro. Like with Daniel Jones. Like
I mean, yeah, but this is week 10. Fresh legs, no longer. We'll see, but it's not crazy to say at this point.
Yeah, and you saw the Cardinals get skunked last week. Like, it could happen. But I get what you're saying. It's an NFL team, but yeah, they're not going to do much.
Commanders, Seahawks, next game up. Seahawks really, really let me down this week. I mean, they looked abysmal on the road against the Ravens. Back at home, hopefully, they not a get-right game, but they're going to get right against the Commanders. I mean, the Commanders, they just traded away 2 of their top defensive linemen. Only one of them's left in Jonathan Allen, and he doesn't want to be there anyways. Give me the Seahawks. Commanders are really Sam Howell. I mean, he balled out last week. Kudos to him, but just trying to play behind that offensive line, it's a tough time. The Seahawks are not really known for getting after the quarterback. I feel like they'll have a field day against the Commanders.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick the Seahawks at home as well, but the Commanders could be a sneaky, maybe upset team. We saw last week Lamar and the Ravens were able to just move the ball pretty much at will offensively. And there's one thing about Sam Howell, even though he has that horrible offensive line, he's going to stand in that pocket and he's going to throw the ball, man. Him and Jahan Dotson seemed to pick things up after that, big Eagles game. Terry McLaurin getting involved late. Logan Thomas, reliable safety net, So, I mean, there's some solid weapons out there on the outside, and Sam Howell's going to just stand in the pocket, throw the ball. Eric Bieniemy's going to dial up them passing plays. So there's a recipe to success here for the Commanders. I just think ultimately, like you mentioned, they can't overcome that offensive line. And Sam Howell will drop back to throw, but how many times will actually be passes, and how many times will be, just pressures, throwaways, sacks. So I just think it'll be too much for offensively the Commanders to overcome, and the Seahawks have a decent defense, and they should be able to handle things at home. Maybe Geno gets back on track. He's looked a little shaky so far this year. Well, not shaky. He's looked good enough, but, you want to see Geno last year who was not riding back to the haters. So maybe Geno can, find a way to get back to that level again. So I think the Seahawks win at home.
Jets, Raiders, Sunday Night Football. I see what the NFL did with this one. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae, Jimmy G, new quarterback in Oakland or Vegas, excuse me. Sorry, Raiders fans, but it's just, they fired Josh McDaniels. They're, last week smoking cigars for their third win of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, I get
they're
it. You're
fourth.
happy, but
Maybe they're fourth.
Come on, bro. I get the celebration. Head coach is out. You're still at the bottom of the barrel, especially in the AFC West. But this one is just like, after seeing what I saw last week or this week from Zach Wilson and the Jets, not just Zach Wilson. I mean, key players making mistakes. You mentioned the turnovers, the defense. I mean, can they really hold teams to, sub 20 points week in, week out? It's a tough task to do in the NFL. I don't think they get it done. Aiden O'Connell looking like they're coming to Tom Brady. Give me the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders offensively scored more points in the first half than they did in any game the entire season. So it's just 20 points. So, I mean, listen, it's a real thing. I mean, talent-wise, the Jets and the Raiders, I don't think they're too far off. They both got, solid pieces on both sides of the ball scattered around. But I would say defensively the Jets are a lot better. But ultimately, I mean, I'm just going off the vibes here, man. The Raiders, like you mentioned, partying up in the locker room, smoking on that McDaniels pack, scoring the ball. Josh Jacobs finally scoring touchdowns. Like, what is this, man? It makes no sense. So, their head coach, I forgot his name. He's got them playing, really, really good football. They're believing. So, I'm going to just take the Raiders at home, man. Even though it's probably going to be like 50-50 Jets-Raiders just because it's Vegas and everyone wants to go to a Raiders home game. But I think, listen, you heard Max Crosby. He told y'all niggas to show up, man. They showed up. So, you feel me? I'm going to pick the Raiders. You put on a show for them. So.
First off, someone in that Raiders. First off, Max Crosby, you took the video and said, yeah, it is good, man. And then Raiders PR social media team, man. Get me a job over there because I could have caught that one. But
there's any white boy saying that, it should be Max Crosby.
That's what they said, bro. I mean, I got, obviously no skin in the game, but that's what they were talking about, bro. There was something I wanted to say. Josh Jacobs. The head coach of the Raiders. Yeah, you mentioned. Not sure what his name is. I think it was a linebacker coach or something on the defensive side of the ball. Kind of reminds me of the Dolphins when Dan Campbell became the intern head coach. When you become that, you just got to be a player's coach.
Antonio Pierce.
It's not about schemes. Obviously there's stuff that goes into it, but at this point, you let the coordinators kind of do their job, and you just go out there and lead the team. Forefront. It was the first time they let practice squad players on the sideline. These guys were hype. A lot of energy. It was great for the locker room. Devontae Adams was joking during the week, playing basketball, talking about, oh, y'all were going to say, oh, he's not practicing football, like this and that. He not serious. So it's good vibes in the Raiders locker room. Totally different from what we saw 2 weeks ago. Devontae slamming his helmet on the sideline and the frustration that they had going on. So it's good vibes. That's your main job as an interim head coach, man. Just go out there, lead those guys. It's not so much that game plan. It's just bring those guys together, bring a little energy to the team because it's like that second life. They come back different.
Yeah, and I mean, the reports were saying he has a real shot at being the long-term head coach. And, I mean, if these players really like him, they're going to want to win games for him to keep him around. So, I think the Raiders actually have something to play for in their new head coach. And you mentioned the interim head coach. It's like once they get a new coach during the season, it's like the weight is uplifted. They can finally, be free, be themselves because now they're finally playing for a coach they like, a coach that, everyone around the locker room seems to believe in. So I think In terms of, coaching and coaching staff and faculty, it's heading in the right direction. Now, they got some other questions on this Raider team, so it's not, you know, all sunny and everything's going perfectly. They still got some things they need to, get better at and fix, mainly quarterback, the most important position. But, in terms of coach and the way things are looking right now, it seems like the Raiders are getting on the right track to becoming a successful football team in the NFL.
Monday Night Football, I said, get right game, but we're counting those out. It stops at double-digit week. Broncos, Bills, man, this you should just chalk up as a Bills win. But, it might not be like that. We saw the Broncos go out and outperform. I think they're also coming off a bye this week as well. So they were getting Javonte Williams involved in the offense past few weeks. Running game looking good over there in Denver with him. Getting the weapons on the outside involved as well last time they played. And they were able to get a win. The defense performed as well against the Chiefs. So can they do the same against another elite quarterback in the Bills? I know this is Gabe Davis's week to break out once again, but yeah. we'll see if the Broncos can hold them, whatnot. But give me the Bills at home. This is a should-win game for them.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, man. Especially, everything that's going on. Lost to Cincy last week at home. Bills Mafia is going to be out there. They're going to be going crazy, jumping through tables. Like they know,
just like this.
They know this is a game that they have to win. Like, if you lose to the Broncos at home, then season's trending downwards. You got some real big question marks. So this is a game that they should win. They need to win. And I think the Bills are a better team than the Broncos, and they will win ultimately. So give me Buffalo at home.
That's going to wrap up our Week 10 pick-ems, man. It's also going to bring us to an end of episode 64 of the Go Pod, man. Any last comments, anything like that, topics? Something we did not cover?
Nah, man. Everything. Well, besides basketball season heating up. Heat with a big win last night.
Yeah, it's about time. Tyler Hero, man. Tyler Hero slander is over with.
Bam with a triple-double.
Bam was out there hooping, man. We know what Bam could do. Who was it? It was O.J. Simpson. I'm not even going to say that quote.
Quoting O.J. now, bro?
Nah, bro. I remember who said it. I just can't bring myself
Ant-Man with the big game as well, man. Shout out to ATL Thug.
He's not a thug, guys. He's just nice gentleman from the A, bro.
Come on, man. We call it what it is over here.
All right, man. You going for the trifecta? But yeah, hoops, man, all season long. The Heat jerseys, they need to go, bro. I can't keep looking at them Heat culture jerseys. Them shits are so buzz, bro.
They're like practice jerseys, dog.
That's what I said, bro. Like, literally practice jerseys, man. I don't know if I'm going to do that much effort and throw in a picture at the end of this podcast, but I guess I will. This shit is atrocious. Can't stand them. The courts suck, too. I hate it. But NBA trying to make a money grab, bro. I can't hate on someone trying to get an extra $1 in their pocket, I guess. That's going to wrap up Go episode 63, man. 64 Go Pod. TikTok, Go, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Podcast, whatever you use to stream. All that. YouTube as well, Go Pod. Like, comment, share, hit that sub button. And until next week, man, peace.